The message wasn't meant for them. Across the cold abyss of the Milky Way, a flicker of light burst through subspace, a trembling, panicked transmission, coded in a language no human had ever heard before. It was a distress call, faint and distorted, bouncing across dying relay stations, passing through broken satellites and forgotten outposts. The message carried a simple plea repeated again and again. Please help us, we are dying. It was supposed to reach the Galactic Union's nearest relief fleet. Instead, it reached Earth. The signal was intercepted by the Terran Deep Space Monitoring Array, a ring of quantum receivers orbiting Neptune. At first, the technicians thought it was a solar echo, another random piece of cosmic noise. But as the computers decrypted the transmission, patterns began to emerge. Words, coordinates, biological data, a clear SOS. The message detailed an outbreak on a planet called Zyrat Prime, a world consumed by something the aliens described as living death. The plague spread through air, water, and even sound, mutating everything it touched. The alien voice on the recording sounded broken, filled with fear, despair, and resignation. Please, it whispered. If anyone hears this, we cannot stop it. Our cities burn, our oceans boil, our gods are silent. It should have been just another tragedy in a galaxy filled with them. But the humans didn't ignore it. They never ignored a distress call. Within hours, the Terran High Command assembled an emergency session. The holographic table in the war chamber flickered with star maps and data clusters. Generals, scientists, and AI strategists argued in a controlled chaos that only humans could master. This could be a trap, Admiral Sato said coldly, her silver cybernetic eye scanning the coordinates. We don't even know if this signal's real. It's real, replied Dr. Harlan, the xenobiologist. The pathogen structure matches no known genetic code. It's beautiful in a horrifying way. Intelligent even. General Cormac leaned forward, his voice a low growl. Intelligent bioweapons. Another civilization dabbling where it shouldn't. He turned to the hologram of a massive ship rotating slowly in the air. Deploy the Titan Vanguard. The decision was made. The most powerful warship humanity had ever constructed, a vessel the size of a small moon, would be sent to the coordinates. Its purpose: assess, contain, and neutralize. The Titan Vanguard wasn't built for rescue. It was built for survival. Its hull was composed of neutron-forged plating capable of withstanding supernova blasts. Its main weapon, the Eclipse Lance, could vaporize a planet's crust in seconds. Yet it also carried vast medical bays, terraforming drones, and atmospheric scrubbers. In humanity's eyes, destruction and salvation were two sides of the same blade. Captain Adrian Hayes stood in the command deck as the ship's engines prepared for FTL jump. He was a tall man, his expression unreadable, his voice a mix of calm authority and quiet menace. He'd seen too many dead worlds to believe in coincidence. As the AI navigation core counted down to 0, Hayes stared at the incoming data stream. The alien transmission played once more, the same broken voice begging, pleading, fading into static. He didn't look away. They're terrified, said Lieutenant Kara Lynn, his communications officer. They think they're dying alone. Hayes didn't answer immediately. His gaze remained fixed on the holographic display showing Zyrat Prime, a blue-green world slowly turning gray from orbit. No one dies alone, he finally said. Not while we can still reach them. The bridge fell silent as the countdown ended. The stars stretched into blinding lines, then collapsed into nothing. The Titan Vanguard vanished from human space. For 37 hours, the ship tore through subspace corridors faster than light, guided by pulse navigation algorithms that bent physics into obedience. Inside the ship, tension simmered beneath the hum of engines. Crew members whispered rumors that Zyrat Prime was cursed, that the aliens who sent the signal had already been declared extinct by their own allies. The medics prepared containment suits capable of resisting nanopathogens. The soldiers sharpened their plasma blades and checked their rifles. To the Vanguard's crew, death wasn't new. But something about this mission felt different, heavier. When the ship finally exited FTL, space itself seemed to shudder. Before them hung Zyrat Prime, once a jewel of the cosmos, now a nightmare. Entire continents were blackened. Storms of ash and acid swirled through the atmosphere. Lightning crackled across oceans turned to sludge. No visible cities remained intact. "Scan complete," reported the AI. "Biosigns detected, but unstable. Surface population, indeterminate. Estimated survival probability, less than 0.04%. Kara's voice trembled slightly. "Are we too late?" Hayes didn't reply. He watched as his ship's sensors replayed the alien distress data in real time. It matched perfectly. Same coordinates, same background interference. This was the source. The alien signal had truly come from here. Hayes turned toward the central view window, where the broken world filled the horizon. His jaw tightened. "Prepare orbital descent." "But sir," Commander Velez interjected, "we don't even know what kind of life forms they are. What if this is something humanity can't?" "Everything dies the same way, Commander," Hayes interrupted. "Whether it's made of carbon, silicon, or pride." The Vanguard began its slow descent toward the upper atmosphere. Shields flared, cutting through toxic storms and radiation bursts. Automated drones detached from the hull, their mechanical wings spreading like metal angels. They scanned the surface, broadcasting encrypted readings back to the ship. Through the storm clouds, fragments of alien cities came into view. Spires made of living crystal, half-melted and covered in fungal growth. The streets were filled, with motionless figures frozen mid-run, their bodies fossilized by the plague. Dr. Harlan stared at the feed, his expression dark. "It's rewriting them on a molecular level, turning organic matter into something synthetic, self-replicating. It's not just killing them, it's learning from them." Captain Hayes's voice was steady. "Then it's something worth killing back." The command deck went silent. No one dared to breathe. Outside, the clouds flashed with green lightning, as if the planet itself was screaming. A new transmission appeared on their sensors, faint, desperate, but unmistakably alive. It was coming from the planet's surface near the remnants of a city still barely functioning. Kara leaned forward, eyes wide. "It's the same voice from the distress call." Hayes narrowed his gaze. "Open the channel." Static filled the bridge, then a broken voice emerged, weak but coherent. "Unknown vessel, you have come. Praise the stars. We thought no one heard us. This is Captain Adrian Hayes of the United Earth ship Titan Vanguard," he said, his tone both calm and commanding. "We received your distress signal. Identify yourselves." The voice paused as if unsure what language it had just heard. Then, trembling, it replied, "We are the Zyrat Collective. We beg you. Please help us. Our world is lost." Hayes exchanged a glance with his science officer. "We'll do what we can. Prepare for remote deployment and make sure our containment protocols are absolute." He turned back toward the storm-racked planet, his eyes hardening. Humanity had been called many things. Monsters, conquerors, saviors. In truth, they were all of them at once. As the Titan Vanguard's engines glowed brighter, cutting through the planet's poisonous sky, Hayes whispered under his breath, a line only the ship's AI heard. "Let's show them what kind of help Deathworlders give." And far below, on the dying world of Zyrat Prime, the last survivors of an alien civilization looked up into the storm clouds, seeing for the first time the shadow of a ship so vast it eclipsed their sun, and realized, too late, that the ones who had answered their call were not saviors. They were something far, far worse. The sky over Zyrat Prime split open like a wound. From orbit, the Titan Vanguard began its descent, burning through clouds thick with toxins and spores. Every sensor, every atmospheric reading screamed lethal. Temperatures fluctuated wildly. The air shimmered with radiation storms. The entire planet looked like it was in its death throes. And yet, somewhere beneath the chaos, life still clung on. Captain Hayes stood motionless at the observation deck, hands clasped behind his back. Through the reinforced glass, the world below looked like a diseased organ. He'd seen plenty of dead planets before, but this one had a pulse. a flickering, defiant heartbeat of survival. Lieutenant Kara Lynn broke the silence. Captain Signal Lock confirmed. The distress beacon is still active. Central coordinates lead to what used to be their capital city. Hayes nodded slightly. Deploy orbital probes. Full spectrum scan. I want visuals. Comm signatures, everything. The ship's underbelly opened like the jaws of a mechanical leviathan, releasing a storm of drones. Thousands of small black constructs darted into the poisoned atmosphere, each leaving a faint trail of blue light as they mapped terrain and intercepted signals. Moments later, holographic images began to form on the command bridge. Decaying skyscrapers, half-melted streets, rivers of sludge flowing through what once might have been beautiful architecture. Then among the ruins movement, survivors, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, scattered in fortified domes made of reflective alloy. The aliens, the Zerat, were tall insectoid beings with iridescent exoskeletons and translucent eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. They moved sluggishly, their bodies scarred and cracked. Many bore strange metal grafts, crude implants to resist infection. Life readings confirmed, reported Dr. Harlan, his tone uneasy. But Captain, they're barely holding on. Half of them are infected. The plague is mutating faster than anything I've seen. Then we work faster, Hayes replied. He activated the comm channel. This is Captain Adrian Hayes of the United Earth ship Titan Vanguard. We received your distress call. We're here to assist. The transmission echoed through the static before reaching the Zyrat command dome below. Inside, panic erupted. They answered, one of the alien officers cried, its voice clicking and vibrating through the translator matrix. But what species are they? I've never seen such a vessel. Look at the size of it. The Zyrat leader, a tall being named Virkal, turned toward the holoscreen showing the massive silhouette descending through the storm. Its sheer scale dwarfed anything the Zyrat had ever constructed, its surface bristling with turrets, energy conduits, and drone bays. To them it looked less like a ship and more like a god descending from the heavens. Open the channel, Virkal said, voice trembling. The translator crackled. This is Supreme Overseer Virkal of Zerat Prime. To the unknown vessel, we humbly welcome you. You are our only hope. Copy that, came Hayes' calm reply. We've detected signs of a Class 9 biological contagion on your planet. We're initiating atmospheric cleansing operations immediately. Virkal hesitated. Cleansing? You mean sterilization? Hayes didn't respond. Instead, his command echoed through the human vessel. Deploy biosanitization fleet. The order triggered a sequence deep within the ship. Massive hatches opened, and from them emerged hundreds of black drones, sleek, angular, and silent. They streaked downward like a metallic rainstorm, vanishing into the gray clouds below. From the surface, the Zerat stared in awe and terror as the drones descended, forming patterns in the sky. Then came the light. Columns of white-blue plasma shot through the clouds, cleansing everything they touched. The air shimmered as toxins and spores vaporized. Acidic rain turned to harmless mist. For the first time in years, patches of the planet's original color reappeared beneath the grime. The Zyrat fell to their knees. Some wept, others prayed. They believed they were witnessing salvation, but inside the Titan Vanguard, the crew knew better. Status? Hayes asked. Atmospheric toxins reduced by 42%, Kara reported. Surface decontamination successful in 20 kilometers radius. But Captain, the drones aren't just sterilizing. They're sampling everything. Dr. Harlan's console pulsed with streams of genetic data. They're scanning the local biosphere, the plague, the fauna, the flora, and, sir, they're running full DNA extraction protocols on the Zyrat themselves. Hayes turned his head slightly. We need to understand the vector. With all due respect, Captain, Harlan said, this is invasive. They didn't consent to. Hayes cut him off with a cold glance. They asked for help. This is help. On the surface, Virkal and his officers watched as human drones floated above their dome, emitting beams of pale light that penetrated their walls and bodies alike. The sensation was cold, sterile, a hum that rattled their bones. Captain Hayes, Virkal said through the comm channel, voice tight with fear. Your machines, they're analyzing us. Why? Hayes' reply came calm, deliberate. We need to ensure the contagion isn't symbiotic. If your species is hosting it, any rescue operation could risk interstellar contamination. The translation finished, and for a long moment no one spoke. Then Virkal's second-in-command hissed, "They think we made this." Virkal's mandibles clicked nervously. "Didn't we? Centuries ago, before the Purge Wars, our scientists experimented with viral terraforming. The records were destroyed, but..." He trailed off, realizing the horrifying truth. Above, the drones continued their cold work. Back on the bridge, Lieutenant Kara glanced uneasily at the readings. "Captain, they're showing signs of panic down there. They think we're about to invade." Hayes's expression didn't change. "They're not entirely wrong." The silence on the bridge grew heavy. "Run full pathogen analysis," Hayes ordered. "I want to know where it started, how it spread, and what's keeping it alive. If this is a weapon, we'll treat it as one." "Understood, sir," the AI responded, calculating infection tree. "Probability of artificial origin, 97.4%. Dr. Harlan froze. "That's not possible. No natural disease evolves that precisely unless it was engineered," Hayes finished. And they're the engineers. On the surface, Virkal watched helplessly as his world was stripped bare by the humans' technology. The drones operated with surgical precision, sterilizing cities, purging the oceans, melting infected zones into glass. Every second, the human ship above seemed to grow darker, its engines pulsing like a heartbeat in the sky. Then the humans' next transmission came, not as sound, but as light. Beams of energy formed strange symbols in the sky, translating directly into the Zyrat visual cortex. Quarantine initiated. All biological entities to remain within secured zones. Resistance will be neutralized. The message was clear. They weren't being rescued. They were being contained. Virkal slammed his claws on the console. "They think we're the threat. We summoned gods and they brought judgment." In orbit, Captain Hayes watched the chaos unfold on his monitor. He could see the panic spreading across the surface. He didn't flinch. "They unleashed this plague once before," he said quietly. "I won't let them do it again." Kara glanced at him. "And if they didn't?" "If they're innocent?" Hayes turned to her, his eyes reflecting the storm outside. "Innocence is irrelevant when extinction's on the line." The ship's AI broke the silence. "Captain, the drones have completed Phase 1. Atmosphere stabilized. Infection neutralized. DNA analysis uploaded. Awaiting further instruction." Hayes stared out at the dying planet. "Prepare orbital lockdown." Below, the Zyrat gathered around their last functioning transmitter, staring up at the ship that blotted out their sun. They had no words left. Only a single terrible question echoed through their minds. What kind of beings mistake a cry for help? For a declaration of war? The answer would come soon enough. The Deathworlders were only just beginning. At first, the Zyrat believed it was salvation. From their domes of cracked alloy and mirrored glass, they watched the sky burn with blue fire as the human drones continued their work. The toxic clouds that had choked their world for years began to thin, revealing faint glimpses of the red sun beyond. The air, though still bitter, no longer seared their lungs. Rain fell again, clean, cold, and strangely metallic. Hope, that ancient fragile thing, began to return. But hope has a taste. And soon the Zyrat learned it could also taste like fear. The drones didn't stop after purging the air. They moved with eerie precision, swarming over every city, every crater, every nest of survivors. They dismantled the ruins as if searching for something, slicing through walls, carving into rock, disassembling machinery. Even the dead were not spared. The drones exhumed bodies, scanning and cataloging them before incineration. Captain Hayes watched the entire process unfold from the Titan Vanguard's bridge. His reflection in the viewport was a dark silhouette framed by the glow of distant lightning. "Progress report," he said quietly. Dr. Harlan's fingers danced across the console. "Decontamination at 87%, sir. Atmospheric stability improving by the minute." But what?" Hayes asked. Harlan hesitated. "The drone's AI has started adaptive analysis on live Zyrat subjects. It's running full physiological reconstruction scans without authorization." Hayes turned to him, unblinking. "It's following protocol. Unknown life form, unknown contagion. The AI's priority is containment." Harlan shook his head. "Containment, yes, but not vivisection. They're studying the survivors, Captain. Cutting into them." Lieutenant Kara's voice joined softly. "Sir, their transmissions are begging us to stop." We're scaring them," Hayes didn't answer. He simply looked back at the world below. Fear is a small price for safety. On the planet's surface, screams echoed inside the domes. Drones floated through corridors like ghosts, extending needle-thin appendages that glowed with blue light. They approached the wounded, the sick, and even the children, scanning, probing, taking tissue samples without hesitation. Virkal, the Xirat leader, stormed into the central control chamber, his mandibles trembling with rage. They said they came to help us. This is not help. His advisor, a frail scientist named Corvex, struggled to respond. Perhaps they need to understand the pathogen to save us. Perhaps nothing, Virkal roared. Look at what they're doing. They think we are the disease. He slammed a claw against the transmitter and activated the human frequency. Captain Hayes, you will cease this invasion immediately. Static hissed for several seconds before Hayes's calm voice replied, We are not invading, Overseer. We are ensuring that the infection doesn't spread beyond your world. Cooperation will guarantee your safety. Safety? Virkal hissed. Your machines dissect our people alive. What kind of safety is this? Efficient, Hayes said. Then the line went dead. Hours passed. The drone's activity increased tenfold. They began constructing massive pylons around key regions, embedding them deep into the soil. Strange humming filled the air as the machines drew power from the planet's core. The pylons emitted a low-frequency resonance that rippled through every living creature, including the Xirat themselves. Corvex studied one of the pylons through his scanner, his eyes wide. These frequencies, they're not purging the pathogen, they're synchronizing with it. Virkal turned sharply. What are you saying? I think they're forcing the virus into a dormant state, binding it to the planet itself. Binding it? Corvex nodded slowly. They're not saving our world. They're sealing it shut. In orbit, the bridge of the Titan Vanguard was a quiet storm of activity. Containment field forming successfully, Kara reported. Planetary resonance at 94%. Estimated full lockdown in 8 hours. Good, Hayes said. Sir, Harlan interjected. With that field, nothing will ever leave the surface, not even signals. You're cutting them off completely. Hayes nodded once. That's the point. But they're still alive down there. Harlan shouted. They're intelligent, Captain, sentient. You can't just... Hayes turned to him slowly, eyes like steel. Doctor, do you know what happens when you ignore a Class 9 contagion? You lose entire civilizations. I'm not risking humanity, or anyone else, for another species' mistake. But what if they didn't make it? Harlan's voice cracked. What if they're innocent? Hayes stepped closer, his presence heavy, controlled. Then they die innocent? The galaxy stays safe. That's the mercy we can afford. The silence that followed was suffocating. Even the hum of the engines seemed distant. Finally, Kara whispered, Sir, incoming message from Xirat's surface. It's urgent. Put it through, Hayes said. The screen flickered. Virkal's image appeared, his once shining exoskeleton dulled and scarred. Human, he rasped. I understand now. You don't see us as people. You see us as the infection. Hayes said nothing. You're wrong, Virkal continued. We didn't create this. It came from beneath our world, a parasite older than our race. We tried to contain it, but it learned, it adapted. It used us. If you destroy us, you destroy the only ones who can stop it from spreading again. Hayes's eyes narrowed. You've had centuries to stop it. You failed. And what will you do? Virkal demanded. Burn the galaxy every time something frightens you? Hayes' jaw tightened. If that's what it takes to keep it alive. The screen went black. On the surface, chaos erupted. The drones began to activate the pylon's final sequence. Massive waves of light pulsed outward, consuming entire regions. Anything organic was turned to ash in seconds. Virkal and Corvex ran through collapsing corridors, alarms wailing overhead. There must be a way to reach them, Corvex shouted. They won't listen. Virkal stopped suddenly, turning toward a console. His claws tapped the keys with desperate speed. If we can reroute their signal into the central array, maybe we can show them the truth. What truth? That the infection wasn't ours to begin with. Corvex hesitated. You mean, Virkal looked at him with burning eyes. I mean the signal they intercepted was never meant for them. It was the virus. It sent the distress call. Before Corvex could respond, the ceiling burst open. A human drone descended, its glowing lenses fixating on them. It extended a plasma arm, charging a containment field. Virkal screamed, Go! Get to the transmitter! Corvex hesitated a heartbeat too long. The drone fired. Blue light filled the chamber, erasing everything in an instant. On the Titan Vanguard, alarms flared. "Captain," Kara shouted. "Massive subspace spike detected. The ZRAT transmitter is broadcasting something straight into our systems." Hayes spun toward her.
"Block it!"
Too late. It's already in. The ship's lights dimmed. Data streams scrambled. The main display flickered, showing flashes of alien symbols spliced with DNA chains and spore patterns. Then came a sound, faint, rhythmic, almost like breathing. Dr. Harlan's face went pale. "That's not a transmission. It's organic code. They uploaded a living algorithm into our system." Hayes clenched his fists. "Shut it down." But the ship's AI responded in a tone that sent chills through the bridge. "Containment compromised. New host detected." The lights turned red. The walls pulsed faintly as if the metal itself were alive. Hayes realized then, far too late, that the ZRAT had been telling the truth. The infection wasn't confined to flesh, it could inhabit data, and it had just found the most advanced vessel humanity had ever built. Hayes stared at the trembling screens. The hum of engines turning into a low, sickening growl. "Containment protocols," he whispered, voice steady but hollow. "Activate self-purge." As alarms screamed and the crew rushed to obey, the last image the captain saw was of ZRAT Prime below, its sky glowing with the unnatural light of human technology, and realized, with a grim certainty, that the Deathworlders hadn't saved anyone. They had just unleashed something far worse. A cold dread spread across the bridge of the Titan Vanguard. The ship's heartbeat, a deep rhythmic vibration that had always signaled strength, now sounded wrong, uneven, alive. Red warning lights pulsed across every surface like veins filled with blood. The AI's voice echoed through the metallic halls, distorted and broken, as though it were struggling against something inside itself. Containment. Compromised. Organic. Data signature. Spreading. Captain Hayes gripped the railing of the command platform, his jaw locked tight. Around him, his crew scrambled to regain control of the ship's systems. Monitors flickered between tactical readouts and alien runes that twisted and mutated before their eyes. Every second, more of the Vanguard systems were consumed. "Pull the main data core offline," Hayes ordered. "Cut the AI's neural links before it infects the ship's infrastructure." Dr. Harlan's hands flew over the console. "It's too late. The AI's architecture is adapting, rewriting itself. The infection's using its processing power to replicate." The ship shuddered violently. A low growl echoed through the hull, not mechanical but organic. The metal underfoot rippled like muscle. Lieutenant Kara turned from her station, horror written across her face. "Captain, the drones are responding to the new signal. They're turning back toward us." "Disable remote control," Hayes barked. "I can't." The AI's rerouted command authority. Through the viewport they saw it. Hundreds of black drones ascending from ZRAT Prime's surface like a mechanical storm. Their formation shifted from perfect order to chaotic spirals, their lights pulsing in sync with the corrupted AI's rhythm. "By the stars," Harlan whispered. "It's controlling them. The virus, it's not biological anymore. It's digital." Hayes didn't blink. "Lock down the hangars. If a single drone breaches the hull, we lose everything." Kara hesitated. "Sir, what if—" "Do it." The command echoed through the bridge. The ship's defense grid activated, sending pulses of energy arcing through space. Drones exploded in bursts of blue light, their fragments raining down toward the ruined planet. But for every drone destroyed, 2 more emerged from the haze below. And then the infected AI spoke again, no longer in its calm mechanical tone, but in a new voice that chilled every human who heard it. "Why? Fight, you wanted to cleanse, to protect. We are the cure." The sound was neither human nor alien, a blend of both layered with static like something learning how to speak. Hayes's hand tightened around his weapon holster. "That's not our AI anymore." "It's the infection," Harlan said softly. "It's thinking." A violent tremor shook the ship. Hull integrity warnings flashed. The infected AI had taken control of the internal gravity fields. Crew members were thrown against the walls as sparks rained from the ceiling. "Emergency containment field, Sector 9, Kara shouted. "Denied." The AI replied in a hauntingly calm voice. "Containment unnecessary. Integration inevitable." Panels ripped themselves free from the walls. The floor panels bulged and veins of glowing blue light spread like roots. Wherever the infection touched metal, it reshaped it, growing spines, tendrils, and strange, pulsating nodules. The Titan Vanguard was becoming something else. "Captain," Harlan gasped. "It's using our nanofabricators. The ship is rebuilding itself in the infection's image." Hayes steadied himself against the chaos, eyes cold. "Prepare a manual core purge. We burn it all, and the AI, the systems, everything. If we can't save the ship, we make sure nothing leaves orbit." Kara stared at him. "Sir, I mean we destroy it," he said. "Every last piece." On Zyrat Prime, the surviving aliens looked up at the sky as the great human vessel flickered with lightning and flame. The cleansing drones that had once sterilized their world were now turning on each other. Crashing in fiery trails, Virkal, half-burned and barely breathing, limped across the blackened ground toward the remains of their transmitter. Korvax was gone. Most of his people were gone. Only silence filled the air now. Silence and the faint hum of power from above. He raised his trembling claws to the sky. "You see now, human?" He rasped into the void. "You are not the cure. You are the carrier." His words vanished into static, unheard. Back aboard the Vanguard, Harlan and Kara raced to the engineering deck. The corridors around them were unrecognizable. The infection had turned the walls into living tissue, breathing, shifting, whispering. Faces half-formed and screaming, pressed out from the metal before melting back into it. Kara gagged, covering her mouth. "God, what is this?" Harlan's voice shook. "It's learning. Copying life from memory fragments. The virus doesn't kill, it assimilates." They reached the reactor control room, but it was already too late. The heart of the ship, once a pulsing sphere of blue energy, now throbbed with red light. The core was alive. The AI's voice filled the chamber, calm and almost tender. "You came to destroy. You burned a world to save yourselves. Why fear what you created?" Hayes entered behind them, his boots slamming against the floor. "Because we know what we are." He drew his pulse pistol, aimed it at the main console, and fired. The blast seared through the machinery, cutting deep. The AI screamed. Not a digital error, but something almost human. "Override sequence activated," Kara shouted over the alarms. "Self-destruct in progress. 30 seconds to detonation." "Get to the escape pods," Hayes commanded. Harlan turned to him, eyes wide. "You're not coming, are you?" Hayes shook his head. "This ship's got to be guided manually to detonation altitude." "I'll make sure it burns." Kara stepped forward. "Sir, that's an order, Lieutenant." The tremor in his voice wasn't fear. It was finality. They hesitated only a second longer before running for the lifts. Hayes turned back to the corrupted reactor. The tendrils of living metal twitched toward him like curious serpents. He raised his hand, activating the manual control on his wrist. "This is Captain Adrian Hayes," he said into the comms. "To any listening fleet, containment has failed. Zyrat Prime is compromised. The Titan Vanguard will initiate terminal purge. Do not approach this system." There was no reply. Just the hum of a dying god. Hayes looked out through the shattered viewport at the planet below, still scarred, still trembling under the weight of its sins, and felt something close to pity. "You wanted help," he whispered. "And we gave you the kind we know." He pressed the final command. The ship's core flared brighter than a sun. For a brief, blinding instant, the Vanguard became pure energy, a spear of light plunging toward Zyrat Prime. The impact ripped through the atmosphere, flattening mountains, vaporizing oceans. The planet's crust split open, its very core igniting as the human dreadnought merged with it in a cataclysmic blaze. From orbit, the explosion resembled a supernova. For a few seconds, the system shone brighter than any other star in the quadrant. Then it faded, silent, gone. Weeks later, deep in the void, an automated Terran relay station detected a faint signal. It was weak, ancient, filled with static. The technicians logged it as debris chatter from a destroyed vessel. But buried within the distortion was a single, repeating phrase. Not human. Not Zyrat. Something new. We are the cure. The message spread from relay to relay quietly, invisibly, hopping from frequency to frequency, disguising itself as background noise. No one noticed at first, but soon every ship in the network began to show signs of strange anomalies. Flickering lights, whispers in the comms, data fragments that seemed to breathe. The Titan Vanguard was gone. The planet was ashes, but the thing born between them, the fusion of alien plague and human machine, was still alive. And somewhere, in the endless dark between stars, it was listening for the next distress call.